actually ended their Football League status, Brighton. Could the Bulls get some sort of revenge this afternoon? Well, John Champion was at Edgar Street to find out.
The appearance of Kudos, the Hereford Bull, serves only to remind that this is how it always used to be. A league club from far afield arrives with trepidation in the city of the marches. The non-league Hereford of old forged a league future out of occasions such as this. Now, though, following a skirmish with today's visitors that went against them 6 months ago, the Bulls are back in their former pastures. This is the next chapter in the saga of two clubs existing on football's poverty line. 7 of the players who saved Brighton from possible oblivion here in May turn out again. They're without their regular goalkeeper Mark Ormerod, who twisted his ankle in training. Mark Morris, the former Wimbledon centre-back, has flu. Craig Maskell is one of 5 men transfer listed simply because the club can't afford their wages. And Kerry Mayo is the player whose own goal here so nearly kept Hereford in the league. Only De Bont, Warner and McGorry survived from Hereford's May Day. They've stayed full-time, but the players recently went 6 weeks without being paid. Striker Neil Grayson is the only player to cost a fee, and with 7 men injured or unavailable, youth team coach Keith Downing is on a fairly crowded bench. Premiership referee Gerald Ashby is in charge. He's not had too far to travel. This is Hereford's first involvement as a non-league team in the competition proper for 25 years. As for Brighton, they've gone out to non-league opposition in 2 of the last 3 seasons, and if anything, it's the non-league side Hereford who start as favourites. Brighton in their change kit of red with blue trim. And this is Peter Smith, who's just returned to the side after injury. Ian Foster trying to close him down, successfully. Rob Warner, Grayson, now Murray Fishlock. Foster couldn't quite keep it in play. Ian Foster urgently requires a hernia operation and may not last the full 90 minutes today. Minton. Presented to Foster. And still Ian Foster. Grayson's pulled away. Lively start by Ian Foster. It's a sign of quickly changing times in football that 3.5 years ago Graham Turner was in charge of FA Cup quarter-finalist Wolves, and Steve Gritt at the same stage of the competition was in charge of Charlton. Storer. Missed by Fishlock. This is Westcott's. Fishlock just got a toe to the ball, and Craig Maskell had the effort on goal. That's as close as we've come. The pace of Westcott caught out Murray Fishlock. The temptation must have been to bring him down. Not the first fedora to be worn as an FA Cup tie of some note. That one belongs to the Hereford chairman, Peter Hill. Foster. It's up in the air. Pittman, I don't think, knew the ball was coming towards him. There's Cook off the bar. Unlucky for Gary Cook. Didn't have long to think about it as the ball whistled towards him. Had to readjust his position, and the keeper was stranded. Hobson. Looking for Storer. Keeper De Bont thought about coming and has now retreated. 2 in the middle, becoming 3. It's Jeff Minton. Miscued. Hereford were really opened up that time, and the runner from midfield had time to set himself. The Brighton manager, Gritt's a fairly good name for someone with that job. Minton. Westcott. Maskell missed it. Pittman. They could have done plenty of attacking, but there have been 1 or 2 occasions at the back when they've looked a little iffy. But here from McGorry's through ball is Pittman, and he should have found his colleague Grayson. That's the final action of the first half. Grayson cursing his luck, as will be Gary Cook, because he has come closer than anyone else to breaking the deadlock with that header that looped over the goalkeeper but off the face of the crossbar. We've seen plenty of moments of interest, but few of real substance, and hence at the midway point of this cup tie that's loaded with significance for very different reasons, it's 0-0. Hereford have been forced to make a change at half-time. New striker James McHugh is on in place of skipper Ian Rogerson, who's got a calf injury, and that means that the captaincy passes to strapping centre-back Richard Walker. The other rearrangement necessary for Hereford has seen Rob Warner slot into Rogerson's right-back position. Brighton have opted not to make any change at this stage. Steve Gripp will be happier with the current situation than his opposite number, one imagines. Although Brighton's away record is fairly dreadful. Fishlock. Smith. Maskell. Now was he taken down into penalty? Richard Walker was the culprit. The ball had gone, and the lunge took the legs from beneath Craig Maskell. Paul MacDonald has the responsibility. Andy de Bont is unhappy with the positioning of the ball on the spot. That will just create a little bit more uncertainty and tension in the penalty taker's mind. But think of what's riding on this kick. The financial plight of both sides involved, the possibility of a lucrative cup run, and a wonderful save by de Bont. As penalty saves go, that was out of the very top drawer. Look how far he had to go. Terrific stop. MacDonald's kick. Allen. And any clearance would do. It ultimately came from Warner. I bet Graham Turner was holding his breath. Fishlock. Three waiting for the cross. Jamie Pittman back heel. Grayson gaping net. 1-0 to the non-leaguers. They've been threatening it ever since the penalty save. And now the goal to a tumultuous roar has finally arrived in the best Edgar Street Cup traditions. The goalkeeper stranded, and the leading scorer, Neil Grayson, at the age of 33, scores his first ever goal in the FA Cup. The sort of tale with which the cup abounds and for which it's famous. A relative veteran, but now with a tale to tell. Fishlock. Oh, it's out of play for a corner. Suggesting that maybe there wasn't a call. Penny for Steve Gripp's thoughts now. Paul MacDonald failed with the penalty. What can he create from this corner? Oh, goalkeeper lost it, and it's in by Stuart Storer. From despair to delight. And the lead lasted for barely 4 minutes. MacDonald will feel a good deal better now. Goalkeeper came and didn't collect, and from that moment on, despite the quality of the finish, Hereford were always going to be struggling. Stuart Storer, 1-1. Storer. Westcott. Maskell by the penalty spot. Minton's available as well. It's still Westcott. Keeper spilt it. Well, from a wonderful penalty save to moments of great uncertainty by the goalkeeper, Andy de Bont. Fishlock. Pittman. Good ball. This is Foster. Two in the centre. McHugh! Oh dear. If Hereford don't win this time, James McHugh will relive that moment over and over again. The close attentions of a defender made it difficult for him, but he couldn't get his foot over the ball. Walker, the captain leading by example. Smith. Total miskick. Hugh. Well, that's twice James McHugh has gone close in the space of barely a minute. Three times an FA Cup quarter-finalist as a manager, Graham Turner, and yet he also knows what it's like to lose on these occasions. He lost to Chorley when manager of Wolves. Hobson. Warner. Grayson. McGorry. Foster. Fishlock. Ball by McHugh to Foster. Was he held off the ball by Smith? There's some shirt pulling going on. It's a penalty. Peter Smith penalised for trying to swap shirts with Ian Foster. And I have to say, this looked like a potential penalty from some distance out. From that angle, it wasn't quite as clear, perhaps, as the view that the referee had. And so it falls to Neil Grayson, who's scored once already, who'd never scored in the Cup prior to today, and who has now emphatically got two for Hereford, who are back in front. Very little subtlety about the kick. In fact, it nearly removed the rigging of the stanchion. Powerful and accurate. And a sign of great confidence on the part of the taker. Foster. Round Smith. Smith's gaining ground on him. Released it just in time to Grayson. James McHugh. Or should it be James Miscue? A hat-trick of chances. He's added so much life and zest to this Hereford attack, but his finishing, sad to say, has been wayward. Warner. It's not particularly sightly, but it's effective, and the good times are back at Hereford. Six months ago it was despair for Hereford and great joy for Brighton. Today, for Steve Gritt and for Graham Turner, the roles are reversed. Andy de Bont, with his penalty save, made sure that Hereford had a platform on which to build. And then in steps Neil Grayson with a brace of goals, his first ever in the FA Cup at the relatively venerable age of 33 for a footballer. In their first incarnation as a non-league club, Hereford knocked out 7 league teams. Well, now they're at it again, and whilst it could never make up for losing their league status, at least the good footballing folk of Hereford have reason to feel bullish once again.
Graham, is it possible to compare and contrast, to use an exam phrase, the feeling that you had 6 months ago after you last played Brighton and your feeling tonight?
No, there's no comparison. I think in football, the lows are a lot lower than the highs are higher, if that doesn't sound daft. It's a situation, we'll take a lot of satisfaction. It's been a pleasure watching us play today. I think that we've passed the ball extremely well, but you don't enjoy the victories quite as much as you despair about the defeats, and nothing will make up for that last match of last season.
You players at Hereford, and indeed the staff, have had problems, not being paid for 6 or 7 weeks and this sort of thing. Has it been tough to keep going?
Not really. I mean, the lads are focused. We're a professional team. We want to get back in the league, so they have been good to us, the staff, and we have been paid up to now, so it's all right.
Andy, take me in graphic detail through that penalty save.
Well, as he's put the ball down on the spot, I've noticed that it wasn't actually on the spot, so I've just gone up to the referee one on the spot, and because the actual penalty spot that end is like there's a hole, and so if he was in the hole, he wouldn't be able to hit it cleanly. And as he's put the ball down, he's just looked one side, and I thought, well, I'm going to go the other, and just look paid off.
Peter, only one question really. Was it a penalty?
I think so. I think, we had a bit of a battle all game, and he got the better of me, and I think I've pulled him down, but, I'd like to see it again on tape just to make sure. What
about that penalty? You didn't half hit it.
Well, the ground was a bit boggy, so I decided early on that was the way to take the penalty.
You must get very frustrated, Steve, because it must be like running through thick, cloying mud at the moment, isn't it?
It is very frustrating. I know the job that I've got to do here is very difficult, and it's under very difficult circumstances, but then so do the players. And the players have got to be far more professional than they are at the moment, and we're not performing, certainly at the level that I know that they can perform. But full credit to Hereford. I think they deserved it on the day. They performed better than we did on the day, and at the end of the day, they're in the second round and we're not.
Good cup tie, Jim. I'm sure Hereford, as Graham Turner said, can't obviously replace that league status, but good performance nevertheless.
Yes, it was. I mean, you feel sorry for both those sides in a way, certainly if they'd lost today. For Brighton, with all their problems as well, they put on a fine cup tie. One team had to lose the blessed thing. But quite honestly, the standard of football, apart from a few sort of patches here and there, wasn't great, although Hereford did put together, what attractive football I saw in the game. But you sort of look at a match like this feeling sorry for a side, but not when they produce this kind of football. Nice little ball there pushed up from Fishlock, and that's Jamie Pittman. I think he had a stylish game and got the goal. But this little man crossing the ball first time, actually should have been made better off there by McHugh. But the passing was really good in stages. There's that little beaver of a player, Foster. He's so quick. Quick flip into the middle, and this for me was the best moment of the game. As if you were a Brighton manager. But the best moment of the game actually is coming up now. Nice little pass, really, up the line there. The little man again, a perfect cross, and look at the trickery in the middle there. One, and Grayson finally tucks it in. A splendid movement, really, which sort of, if we can think of that and forget some of the other things that are going wrong for both clubs, well, then, it's nice to do.
Ultimately, though, it came down to a dubious penalty decision. What did you make of it, Jim?
Well, I disagree with the referee, I'm afraid. Just look at, first of all, just really look at Smith there. He thought it was a penalty, but just look at him in this position. What does he do now? He runs on, it's outside the box, doesn't make contact, right? Falls over his opponent. But now let's look.
It's a foul there, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah, a foul there without any doubt. But look what's happened now, and look at our little man again, Foster. Does he throw himself down, or was he pushed? I think the final result of that, he threw himself down in that position. I think they're unlucky, because that goal decided the match. And it went badly, for Brighton. And they're in enough trouble already.
Yeah, when things are going bad, it's always like that. Mark,
it's dreadful.
You spent a period of time at Brighton. The club's in a bit of a mess, isn't it?
I think it's a bit of an understatement, Gary. Not got any players, really. And, the better paid players have been put on the list because they've got to try and get them off the wage list. They've got no ground. They're playing at Gillingham at the moment. Can't play at Woking. They're talking about playing at Withdean Stadium, which is local. They haven't got many points, and the great blessing in disguise for them is Doncaster Rovers, because without Doncaster Rovers, they could just go out the league.
Well, except for that, at least things can only get better. Now, one of the interesting stories of the day was the return to Blackpool of 45-year-old John Burridge. The Blythe Spartans goalkeeper-manager went back to his former club 27 years after making his name there. Steve Lee will tell us how he fared. Right, before we go, let me tell you about two programmes coming up on the BBC. On Monday night, there's Onside with John Inverdale, which includes a special report on Jamaica's bid to qualify for the World Cup for the first time. And it's time to start thinking about your vote for Sports Review of the Year, and it might need a lot of thought this year. Like last time, there are 3 ways to cast your vote: postcard, fax or email. The address and numbers are all there, and if you've not got a pen handy, all the details are on CFAX page 358. Right, all that's left is to pick our man of the day, and we've gone for John Burridge, not necessarily for today's performance, but for a wonderful career that began 28 years ago and ended this afternoon. One thing's for sure, his mum will agree with us. Good night.
We out-footballed Blackpool today. They scored off 3 set pieces.
Well, I don't know about giving over the way you was getting them balls.
No, Mum.
Oh, no. You was quite... I thought
Mum.
You was quite good.
I'm not sharp enough, Mother. I'm not... Yeah, but she's biased, you know.
Now here's a revelation. Gary Lineker has a feel for gurning. Grope a guest in the top sports quiz, next on BBC One. And the latest results and reviews from Match of the Day are available at www.beeb.com.